took up all our time. We got on the doors, and when we got on the doors, the votes went up. The marches looked good, but it's when we start getting these leaflets out, the same sort of design as that one, the same sort of design, and the protest vote, the rights for whites. This one's a bit tattered now, and that's what got us the support. This was in a by-election in the Isle of Dogs, right down here, look, down here, Millwall, the Isle of Dogs. That was a year before Derek Beackon got elected. We had another by-election there, and we were increasing our campaigning style, increasing our vote, and doing better each time. In September 1993, there was another by-election in Millwall Ward on the Isle of Dogs. We've just been looking where that was, just been focusing the camera on there for a little while. And I haven't got many leaflets left of that campaign, strangely enough. This was the very first, this is the master copy of the very first leaflet we handed out then. And the leaflet itself was a bit scruffy, but you know, we still won the election. That was the master copy. There's another one. Derek Beackon was the candidate. That was a standard front with a plain back that we could overprint our own message. And that was the final leaflet. We'll see in a second this Jack Dash house. That was the local community, local neighbourhood centre. In those days, Tower Hamlets was split up into local neighbourhoods, and that was the money shot. That was where we were going to send the councillor, and that is where we did send the councillor, Derek Beackon. Unfortunately, the campaigns that we were doing were only really confined to the East End. They didn't spread out to the rest of the country because really there was a lack of will in the leadership of the party to spread it out, and the East End was going under fast. We were up again, it's like against a ticking clock in the East End with the ethnic situation there. The whites were being driven out street by street, as I said it much earlier on. We left it too late. We spent the 80s doing the wrong sorts of activities. By the time we found out what worked, it was getting too late. The sands of time were running out for us when the Millwall by-election came along.
Derek Beackon and Millwall are assured of their place in BNP history as our party's first election victory. That by-election win back in September 1993 was, however, a false dawn. The success was on too narrow a front, and in an area, the East End, that was on the verge of being ethnically swamped. The Rights for Whites campaigns never spread to other areas. Neither were the advances in electoral technique propagated through the rest of the BNP at that time. Importantly, it was only when we abandoned the street activities, got on the doorstep and spoke directly to our people that we started to pile up considerable votes. By the time we'd worked this out, it was far too late for the East End. We'll now go on a circuit of the Isle of Dogs and see what it's like there now.
So over there we've got Canary Wharf, all the new developments there. And as we go over these docks, we're now in what was the Millwall ward on the Isle of Dogs, where we won our first ever seat in September 1993. Strangely enough, 11 years to the exact day till we won our second seat in London in Dagenham in Goresbrook ward. And around to on our immediate right, this Jack Dash house, that's where the count was held. Outside this building there were several hundred of our supporters waiting for the result to be declared. Most of these offices around here weren't here at the time. They were just starting to be built. And this is the location where the IRA set off their bomb in Canary Wharf, and someone got killed. A bloke in a kiosk selling sweets and newspapers was killed just by this Docklands Light railway station here. These flats are called the quarter deck. They've been refurbished since we won here. There's Mast House Terrace. There was a major campaigning theme there because a lot of the Asians were moved into that brand new estate. You can tell the change in this area since 93. Over here on the right we've got the Islamic Community Centre, look. There's George Green School, but there's now a lot of trouble. The white kids there are regularly attacked for being white in that school now. Particularly these flats over here on the left is known as Cubic Town, another area where we used to have stacks of support, masses of support. It's a salutary lesson that these areas, unless we save them, can all go downhill. The building here used to be the Dorset Arms, where we used to have branch meetings. Used to be a pub. And over on the right hand side you've got the Samuda estate. Again we used to have a load of support in there. All these estates have been wrecked. The local population, local islanders have all been driven out. Here we are back where we started from, having gone all the way round the outside of the island.
Up until the early 1960s, the East End was covered by rows and rows of terraced houses. They are unmodernised and in need of improvement, but each family had their own house, their own space. There are very few of these streets left. It wasn't the Blitz or the Luftwaffe that destroyed these houses. Instead of modernising them, Labour knocked them down and replaced them with soulless blocks of flats that took the heart out of the community. With typical arrogance, Labour dumped monstrous modern statues such as Henry Moore's draped-seated woman outside these flats and declared that it would uplift the population. One of Barbara Windsor's first films, Sparrows Can't Sing, in 1963, poignantly reflected the dismay the East End community felt at being imprisoned in these new tower blocks. That cinema is where the premiere of Sparrows Can't Sing was held, and it was attended by Barbara Windsor and the Cray twins. The flats used as locations in that film were recently knocked down and replaced by new houses. The block where Barbara Windsor's character lived, Wickham House, is now Wickham Close. I coincidentally lived there briefly in the 1980s. Henry Moore's lifeless statue has been removed to a park in Yorkshire. The new houses are not inhabited by the